As the scene unfolds, someone requested, "Ni-san, set the table," and asked Mother if they had any wine. Then a woman responded that she already took it out, and a boy shouted, "It's time to eat." While eating, his mother stated that Rude's cooking is so delicious, and she's so lucky to have him as a son. Then Ni voiced, "Rude-sama, I want to learn how to cook this dish," and unexpectedly, she embraced him. Then Rude asserted that he will teach it to her. However, it mentioned that a boy, Femrude, Rude for short, lives on this continent shared by humans and beastmen. Slowly, a major revolution is underway as the beginning of his story takes place 14 years ago in Ellen's Lilda Kingdom's border forest. Eventually, in the forest, somebody quoted, "Wait a moment, as he wouldn't taste good at all." Then White Fenrir is ready to approach, and as soon as she is about to attack him, but gets instantly shocked. Moreover, while lying on the ground, she asked, "What was that magic?" Fenrir thought that for sure she sensed a baby and asked the little guy if he could talk, then told him not to worry as there is nothing to be scared of anymore. Hearing her, the baby got shocked and immediately passed out. Moving toward him, Fenrir started observing the baby, then mentioned what she should do about this, as this child is hungry, but that might not have been the end of them. Then, holding him, she walked away, and later, after feeding him, Fenrir tapped the baby, then asked if he is full now, as she wondered if it's okay for a human baby to drink her milk, and the baby agreed that it was delicious. Hearing him, Fenrir shouted that she knew it, that he could really speak, furthermore, even understand her. Then Baby asserted that it's probably because of his demonic possession, and she quoted that she doesn't know what is that, but isn't it cruel to abandon a baby here? Also, it's not right to leave a baby by itself in a forest. However, Baby remembered that a lady requested someone to stop it, as it took everything just for the child to survive. He keeps saying it's terrible to give birth to twins. Then a man shouted that the birth of a twin in this country is cursed, and this goes all the way back to the time the kingdom was destroyed. So what he tells his elder brother is, he found out, so just give it up, as he's killing it right here. Then the man is about to snatch the baby. Just then, the baby questioned, "Who is that disgusting pig?" As it's unforgivable for someone to hurt Mama, also he even frightened Kleena too. So now, apologize and oink while he's at it. Hearing the baby, the man shouted, "How dare he say that to someone like him, so it's a cursed child with demonic possession." Snatching the baby from the woman's hand, the man quoted that his blood would just contaminate the room if he killed him here. After that, Baby mentioned that's why he was abandoned. Then Fenrir asserted that what an unfortunate child as it stands, and even if he could return, there's nothing for him. Then she questioned if he would like to stay with her instead, and Baby asked if that is okay. Fenrir agreed since it seems she can supply him with milk. Further, she introduced herself as Ferwida and asked what's his name. Then Baby quoted that he still doesn't have one, and she mentioned how about Femrude, Rude for short, as it's the name of her child that died. So he may be human, but he's also her child. Hearing her, Baby started crying and voiced, "Mother Rudia." Later she took him with her. In the next scene, Rude was hunting a rabbit. Then Rudia quoted that was superb Rude as he's really getting good. So let's go home and make some food. Afterward, while eating, Rude questioned Mother as he wants to try cooking too. So do they have any tools? While showing the place, Rudia quoted that in this form she doesn't really use this place, but there should be tools around. And after collecting the tools, Rude noted that let's make a cat's paw with the left hand. Then he started making it. While cooking food, he quoted that it's too bad as they don't have any salt. Then Rudia questioned what he was making, and Rude responded that he's frying the vegetables as there isn't any salt, so the flavor is a bit plain, but the meat and vegetables are delicious, so it should be fine. Moreover, Rudia asserted that she'd never taught him how to cook, then asked how he knew so much, and Rude stated that he doesn't really know either but had known various things since he was born, so it's probably because of his demonic possession. Then she noted how mysterious, and he stated that it's done. While slicing the stick, Rude asserted that should do it, then munching the food, he quoted that it's better and fed her mother too. Meanwhile, eating, she noted surprisingly that it's delicious, then Rude mentioned that the food Mother makes is delicious too, but he wants to try making other dishes, and Rudia responded that she never would have thought that he could make food this delicious, and after finishing the food, they both thanked each other for the food. Eventually, Rude started making dishes, and after eating, Rudia exclaimed that it's delicious, but as it is, she's going to become useless. But on the other hand, Rude noted that the fire went out and voiced, "Mother," then questioned could magic be used to make a fire, and Rudia responded that she's just not good at fire-type magic. Then Rude asked if she could teach him, as if he could learn then it'll be really convenient for cooking, and she noted it should be fine. So first point his index finger straight up, then try chanting that power of the red flame that dwells in all creation, listen to his wish, and reveal itself. However, while closing his eyes, Rude chanted that the power of the red flame that dwells in all creation listened to his wish, and revealed itself. Then, unexpectedly, a fire popped out from his finger. Seeing this, Rudia stated in shock that he must be joking, as it took her 7 days to learn that. Moreover, while gripping his hand, he exclaimed, "It's quite a mouthful to say, so let's try fire burn," and again fire popped from his hand. Then Rudia expressed that he's amazing and make her feel so proud. Then Rude thanked her and questioned if she could teach him some other magic. Furthermore, Rude chanted water was away, then fire simmered after cooking. He noted, "Let's eat." Then Rudia stated that if this continues, then it'll become a daily life of just eating and sleeping. In the next scene, 12 years old Rude asked in confusion, "That cat people's village?" Then Rudia agreed, as his clothes and shoes are all made by a friend of her who is living there. Also, his sleeves are getting a bit short, so she thinks it's about time to get him a new clothes and asked if he wants to come along. Then Rude agreed. After reaching, Rudia noted that the cat people in the village all have black beautiful fur. Also, they are small but very energetic, as children would be everywhere, walking here and there. But seeing no one, Rude asserted, "There's no one here." So she wondered what happened, and that's weird. While peeking inside the house, Rudia shouted what had happened. Then Rude sensed something and stated to Mother, "It seems like someone's inside." Then Rudia agreed, while mentioning that Henruda she's entering. As soon as they entered inside, the woman apologized to Rudia as she couldn't invite her in, while handing her a glass of water. Rude requested her to drink it slowly. Then Henruda asserted that the clothes suit him. Later, Rudia exclaimed that crop failure, as this village barely has enough food supply left to survive the winter. Then Henruda asserted, "On the top of that, the weather dramatically changed and became so cold, and it's no wonder everyone's body couldn't withstand it." Then Rudia questioned if her daughter's sick in bed too. And Henruda wondered just how far Croquette went, as she'd go find some medicinal herbs, but hasn't come back since. Hearing her, Rudia stated that she must be worried, so she'll help to find her, and asked which direction she will go. Eventually, Rude noted she's not here. While sniffing, Rudia exclaimed that it smells like humans had been here recently, and coming this deep into the forest, it's definitely suspicious. So for now, let's try following this scent. Then he nodded his head. Afterward, Rudia mentioned that the scent is coming from the inside of that village. However, if she transforms it might cause a huge hassle. Then Rude agreed that she can wait here for him to return, and Rudia questioned if he was really fine by himself. Then Rude asserted that he's been to Human's village before to buy stuff, but his mother quoted that he must be careful, and when looking for Croquette, he should use the language of beast, as to humans it only sound like he's howling, so they probably won't notice. While walking away, Rude noted, "See her soon." Apparently, he entered the village and shouted, "Croquette-san." Standing behind the wall, he mentioned if Croquette-san could hear him, then reply in a quiet voice, and a voice came from the room. However, he heard a person question if he heard that beast-like howl a second ago. Then the men responded that it's probably one of the cat girl's friends, and again, another man asked if it's fine doing such a thing. Then the men asserted that cat people aren't that dangerous, so it's fine. Beside, the man continued that goods like this are usually worth a lot more in larger towns, so it's easier to find people with a thing for them, so if they do that, then they'll have more than enough split between them to live a carefree lifestyle for a couple of years. Hearing him, another man stated that it sounds like a good deal, but how they are going to transport her to the town. Then the man responded that he'd already borrowed a carriage for tomorrow. Meanwhile, Rude pointed his arrow toward them and contemplated that in their dreams, then smacked their head with the bow. As soon as they fell unconscious, Rude went inside and voiced, "Croquette-san," then requested her to wait a moment as he'll open it right away. Moreover, seeing her tied, he approached her, then cut the rope. She asked did he come here to save her, and Rude agreed, as Henruda told them she still hadn't returned yet. So his mother and he came to search for her, so now let's go back. Unexpectedly, Croquette embraced and thanked him. Later, Rude voiced, "Mother, he had brought Croquette-san." Then Rudia questioned if either of them hurt, and Rude responded that he is fine and asked Croquette-san. But before he could complete his word, they both are shivering after seeing from Rudia. Eventually, Rudia questioned if she was okay and had calmed down yet. Then hesitantly, Croquette agreed as she is feeling better now, but who would have thought that her mother's friend was from Rudia, and she never knew. Hearing her, Rudia apologized as it seemed like she frightened her and always met with Henruda late at night, so Croquette immediately denied that she is the one who received their health and really very grateful. Then she started rolling on the ground. Seeing her, Rude gets panicked and requested that it's cold there, so get up already as he went to search for her, because his mother told him. Then Croquette asserted that he is a very strong boy and couldn't imagine him taking those people out. Listening to her words, Rude stated that he has a name and requested her to not treat him like a kid bad. His mother noted that he is still 12 years old. So Croquette mentioned that he is actually only 12 years old, that 5 years younger than her. Then his mother questioned what happened and how did she end up here. Then Croquette responded that her mother's body was getting words, so she went to search for some medicinal herb to cook, and when finally found the herb she was looking for and was too absorbed in collecting it, the next thing she knew was already tied up in that shed. Hearing her, they both contemplated that Kid is probably a natural airhead. Later Croquette apologized for worrying her mother. Then Henruda mentioned it's great that she is safe and thanked from Rudia and Rude Kun. Then Rudia asserted that it is still too early to say her thanks, and they still need to do something about this village's problem as her friend is in trouble, so she'll help her out. However, Rude asked by the way she said the crop is poor, but just how bad is it? Then Croquette responded that this year was difficult to grow wheat. Only the animal feed was fine, and he questioned if she grow the animal feed too, and she agreed as there's a lot of wetlands around here, so it grows very well in large amount as it's a type of green that he need to pick ones when it's grown. Instantly, Rude shouted if she could show it to him. Then Henruda agreed, but it's just something they let dry for animals to eat, and Rudia exclaimed that he has an idea already. So Henruda, don't worry, as this child is very smart enough to surprise her too. Therefore, he started cooking wheat and asserted that if he remembered it was first a little flame, then a strong one, so as not take the lid even if the baby is crying. Afterward, serving the food, Rude stated that the animal feed they use is actually something called rice, as it has similar nutritional value to wheat, and just brown rice doesn't really taste that good alone, but adding some salt should make it much more delicious, so here she goes. As soon as Croquette took a bite, she mentioned it's delicious. Then Rude exclaimed that he is glad and thinks this should help them to survive through winter, so let's hurry and go teach everyone else. Hearing him, Croquette got shocked. In the next scene, Henruda quoted, "Who would have guessed that old animal feed could be so delicious?" Then Rude stated that it's called rice and has about the same amount of nutrition as wheat, and Croquette asserted that Rude-sama is so knowledgeable. Hearing her, Rude agreed, while sadly contemplating that it's because of his demonic possession. But then Henruda noted that with this, they can safely survive the winter, and it's thanks to them. Later, while washing the utensils, Croquette thought that she'd decided, and after that, voiced to Mother that she had a request. Then her mother questioned, "What is it?" Croquette quoted that she wants to follow alongside Rude-sama and wants to do something to repay the two who saved their village. Hearing her, Henruda asserted that she had a feeling that Croquette might ask that and questioned from Rudia if that would be a bother. Then she responded that it's not a problem. Turning her head toward Rude, Croquette requested him, then he approved, and Croquette stated that she'll try her hardest. Then her mother noted that she'll leave her in their care. After all, this child needs to learn outside world too, and Rudia agreed as she will look after her with care. While bowing toward him, Croquette mentioned that she's looking forward to the journey ahead, and it articulated that's how from Rudia family increased. Then after winter, the three of them were welcoming the start of autumn. Eventually, Rude quoted that it's nice and warm, then Croquette agreed, and then Rude mentioned that it's nearly pomegranate season, so it would be great if they could make candies, fruits, or something. But they don't have much sugar left and need to go buy more. Then Croquette questioned if he is going to a human town, and he agreed as there's a big market, so Croquette Oni-san, it is okay if she looks after the house by herself, and if she wants anything, he can buy it for her. Furthermore, in the human town market, Rude requested the shopkeeper to give him this. Then the man questioned why a cat person here, and Rude quotes that he's a beast user, then remembered Rudia stated that apparently there were people who controlled the magical beast in the past, so if he says that then he should be able to persuade them was what Mother said. But then somebody asked if that's true, a child like him, a beast user, and Croquette started singing. Hearing her, someone quoted that she is not a violent cat person who wishes to attack humans. Suddenly, a baby slipped from above and was about to fall on the ground, but immediately she caught the baby. Then Rude questioned if Croquette Oni-san hurt somewhere. Out of nowhere, the man snatched the baby while shouting, take her dirty hands off of him. Later she apologized to him because of her he wasn't able to buy much. Then Rude stated that it's not her fault and contemplated that the country's citizens acknowledge races other than humans. Even places like this in the countryside discriminate against beastmen this much. Suddenly someone voiced, seeing her, they both got surprised. Then the lady bowed to them while quoting for saving this child back there, thanks to them as she heard from the shop owner, and while passing the packet, she requested him to take this. Apparently, the child tugged Croquette's clothes and thanked her. Then she voiced Rude Sama and requested him to teach her human language. After that, she responded to his welcome. Later, Rudia quoted that this year's fruit is very delicious too, and Rude asserted that Croquette Oni-san saved him. Then Rudia stated, so let's send some to Henruda too. While eating, Croquette quoted that it turned out delish. In the next scene, Croquette mentioned that Femrudia left early without eating much. Then Rude thinks that she left for a moment to go see his brother. Later, Rude shouted at the beach. Then Rudia stated that it is also her first time coming here, as the scent of the air is great, and Croquette quoted that it is her first time seeing such a wide ocean view. But immediately Rude removed his shirt and jumped in the water. Then he started hunting the fish. However, while eating it, Rudia expressed that it's so delicious as no words can describe it. Then Croquette stated that it really is so delicious and juicy. Further, Rude exclaimed that thing here it's a snake, even if raw it's tasty, and putting in a pot and roasting it makes it even more delicious. Then excitedly, Croquette quoted that the ocean must be delicious too, and he denied as the ocean isn't delicious, it's a snake. Eventually he voiced Mother and Croquette, then questioned them what should they do or go home, and Rudia responded that since they are already this far out, let's try any issues, then they can just head back home from there. But as soon as they reached the main gate, the guard shouted, "Young man," and asked if that dog or a wolf is safe, instantly embraced her. Rude assured, after all, she's his family and does not attack humans. Then the guard mentioned that this town is the Sea Whale's Kingdom's castle and requested them to enjoy their stay. Observing the town, Croquette exclaimed in amazement that monsters and humans are living together in harmony. Also, humans are fluent in their language. Then Rudia quoted that Croquette should also study more. Just then, a little girl voiced that she must be Fenrir as her grace, so Rudia quote she'd noticed. Then the girl shouted that she knew how beautiful. Seeing the crowd, Rude noted that his mother is pretty amazing. Later, Rude excused himself as there are 3 of them. Then a girl mentioned a pure black cat, and Rude prolonged that they'd like to stay for 2 to 3 days, and the lady asserted that they'll get them set up. While passing the pouch, he asked if she would be so kind as to cook this for them. Seeing the fish, the lady quoted that it looks delicious as they can certainly make do with this. Then both children asserted that they'll guide them to their room. After showing them the room, the girl noted that the bath had been prepared for them until the food was ready, then requested them to relax and enjoy themselves. However, sitting in the hot water, Rudia quoted that feels great, and Croquette noted this as such a warm bath. While holding his shoulder, she voiced Rude as he'd got to properly immerse his body up to his shoulder, or he'll start feeling chills. But unexpectedly, Rude shouted that he don't wanna. Then she quoted he's already up, and Rudia asserted don't be that way. While squishing his shoulder, Croquette stated that it is a mixed bath. After that, the lady requested them to allow her to properly introduce herself as Mercurial. They can call her Real, so thanks for staying with them at this inn. Hearing her, Rude expressed that they thanked her kindly as well, then introduced himself as Femrude. Here is his mother Femrudia, and lastly Croquette. Eventually, Real mentioned that they had their twins. The sister on the right is Michaela, and last is Michael. Then Rude questioned if it is fine with them. Could they all eat together? And Real asked if he would prefer that. However, Rudia quoted that despite her body, she's a light eater, and since doesn't think the 3 of them could eat everything. Then Croquette asserted that if everyone's together, that'd be so delightful. After spending the day together, late at night in the inn, Rude voiced to Mother and questioned if he could ask her a favor. Rudia responded that he didn't have to tell her as she already knew that he wanted to live in this country. Then he agreed and mentioned that Mother, for the longest time, he'd wanted to walk with her and Croquette through town, so they can't do that normally in this city as there's no discrimination and so many heartwarming people everywhere. Also, those twins can live without being neglected or cursed. Moreover, Rudia noted that after they go home, let's return here to live. Hearing his mother, he got shocked. Then she continued that to raise such twins like those, he'd have to be in a place like this and now grown to be so big. Then she thinks it's fine. Also, she's sure that child would forgive them. So let's go say their goodbyes to him. Standing in front of the tree, Rudia stated Femrude, one more of her sons, sure that if she had given birth to a healthier child, he could have been a great big brother and apologized to him as she has her all to herself. Then Rude promised that he'll come back to see his brother. Suddenly someone voiced Mama and Rude. Then the little Flash bumped into Rude and noted to take with him. Then she saw his son and thanked him for coming to see her. Then his brother quoted that could finally tell him that he'll get his power to him, so let his brother be with him so he can stay with Mama at her side. In the next scene, they reached their home. Then Rudia questioned if he forgetting anything, and Rude denied to his mother. Then she requested them to back up a little, but Rude asked what she is going to do, and Rudia mentioned that she's blowing this place up as it would be troublesome if Rude's father found it. Then she burned the whole house. After that, Croquette asserted that there's nothing left, and Rude quotes that Mother is amazing. Then Rudia mentioned that she was holding herself back and didn't even use 1% of her power, otherwise it would have been dangerous for them. Later, in the Sea Whale's kingdom, someone noted that this place was inhabited by a member of a rather large species up until a while ago, but it's just so big that it's been hard to find any buyer, and so now it ended up unoccupied for several years. Further, Benny Ella prolonged that when she was introduced to them and thought it was a good size for someone like Rudia-sama. Then Rude questioned if the bath has hot water too, and Benny agreed, as this bath gets hot water from the first-hand source, and since their country has an abundance of hot water spring that gushes forth, the hot water is always beautiful. Seeing the bath, Rudia quoted that they can soak comfortably here, and Rude agreed, as he would bathe here without complaints. Then Benny stated that the building used to be the office and is now serving as the dining room, so if they don't use it, then it can work as a warehouse as well. Then Rude asked what does Croquette thinks, and she responded that it's a lovely house. Staring each other, Rude then took out the gem and asserted that it's not exactly cash, but Benny stated such a big gemstone. Then Rudia noted that it's something she picked up at a mine and questioned if it's not enough. Then immediately Benny shouted in denial as it's sufficient and thanked them for their purchase. A few months after Rude, Femrudia and Croquette moved to Sea Whales. Autumn was just around the corner. Then Rudia voiced that she's home. Since it's her, she brought him a lot of souvenirs as thanks for the fish. Eventually, Croquette also thanked him as because it is magic they got to eat fresh fish, and it sure was surprising for them, all that how delicious the sea fish were. Then Rudia mentioned that since they still had some of the ice, Rude mate, she doesn't think they'll go bad, but asked if they'd be okay. However, he agreed perhaps it would be better to use these eggs sooner though. Staring at the egg, he quoted, "Let's try making that." After cracking egg, he noted use some breeze, and then stir gently, then let's light up a tiny flame. After a minute, Rude asserted that it should be about time and use ice to freeze it up. Apparently, after a second, Rude quoted, "Let's not cool it too much," and voiced Mother Croquette-san is ready. Then Rudia asked what might this be as it's soft candy. Taking out in the spoon, Croquette exclaimed that it's so sparkly and bouncing. Then Rude feed his mother. After eating, she noted that it's so sweet and smooth. Also, it melts on the tongue. Then Croquette mentioned that she's so happy and want to give some to their neighbors' children, and Rudia stated that if Rude makes more, then she'll bring some to the cat people's village too, as it should work with the remaining ingredients. But Croquette quoted that she feels guilty having Rudia-sama always deliver things there. Hearing them, Rude contemplated that since its mother and only took her a day to arrive at the cat people's village, but it's no good to rely on her this much. Later, Croquette voiced Rude-chan, and Rudia quoted Rude the sun's up as it's weird for him to oversleep, but seeing him in Fenrir form, they both get shocked. In the next scene, Rudia mentioned that a pure white Fenrir, she's had never heard of a human becoming Fenrir before, while embracing him. Croquette quoted that sensation, "It's the very definition of fluffy and feels so nice." Just then, Rude questioned when Fenrir mentioned his power, did he perhaps mean this? Hearing him, Rudia contemplated that the child was sleeping inside Rude. Then she stated, "That's true, as this form just might be an effect of his power. But it'll be a problem if he can't go back to his original form." Further, she prolonged that if he stabilized his magic, then he might be able to go back. Until then, he'll have to live in this form. But she wondered if he needs practice. But as soon as Rude stood up, his legs started shaking and immediately fell on the bed while quoting, "He can't walk well," then voiced, "Mom," as he wanted to go to the bathroom. Eventually, holding him from her mouth, she took him outside. Later, seeing him walking, Rudia asserted that he's already gotten used to it. Then Rude voiced Croquette-san and questioned if she'd try riding on his back. Croquette asked if that's okay, and Rude agreed that he want to try running with her on his back. However, Rudia stated that since Rude is saying it's okay, go ahead and do it for him. She noted Rude be careful so that Croquette doesn't fall off. After hoping, she mentioned, "That feels kinda inappropriate." Hearing her, Rude thought, now she mentioned it, but told himself to not think about it and quoted, "What she is saying, just hold on tight." Then he started running, and Croquette asserted that she's not rocking that much. Then Rude agreed as he's using his knees carefully while running so that he didn't sway her too much. Moreover, she mentioned, "That's how it was," then questioned if he want to go faster. He asked if that's okay. Instantly she approved him, and while smirking, Rude stated that she asked for it and immediately fastened his pace. Experiencing his pace, she shouted that he's pretty fast, and Rude mentioned that he's not done yet and can go even faster. But suddenly he jolted in his place as she quoted, "That is bad," and he questioned if she said something. Then she mentioned that his movements are a bit troubling and requested him to stop. Seeing her crying, he immediately apologized to her. Later, someone quoted that apparently it's a godlike wolf with beautiful pure white fur, as he was told that if they see it then they'll find true happiness. And he heard that from some guys who recently saw it in the West Desert. Eventually, Rudia asserted that kind of rumor started spreading, and it's not like she was hiding it or anything, so why not let everyone know? Later, seeing Rude, everyone shouted that Divine Beast is Rude. Then he apologized for causing concern because recently he was able to take on this form, so it got him all excited and had been running all around as it seems he was spotted, so somebody quoted, "That's what it was." Suddenly, a little girl hugged him while stating that Big Brother is so white, soft, and pretty fluffy. Just then, another girl mentioned that how mysterious a human turning into a Fenrir and questioned if he cannot return to his original form. Then Rude denied. Honestly, he also just wants to go back already, but unexpectedly he changed back, and seeing him, everyone was surprised. Furthermore, it articulated that he became able to change from Fenrir to human at will, but Rude, who had thought he couldn't change back, ended up doing it in front of everyone. In the next scene, Rude wished Riel good afternoon and questioned if she's busy. Then Riel greeted him and responded that she was about to start preparing for lunch soon. Then Rudia mentioned that Rude Kun made sweets as they wanted to share some. So Riel quoted that she'll make some tea. Then let's talk in his room. After tasting it, she asked, what kind of sweet is this, as she had never had something like this before. Then Rude noted that it's called pudding and he made using some of his magic. Also, she can make it without magic, but it takes time. Further, Rude explained that she can make it by steaming, as it is a method in which she put the hot water in a large bowl, put ingredients in a small pot, and cover it with a cloth to prevent water droplets from getting in. Then steam for a while, and after that put it in a cooler, as he thinks it's better to change it so that it does not get bad. Eventually, Riel mentioned that making sweets is hard and thought that she would be happy if she could serve to his customers. But doing this every day would become impossible, as she has other work too. Hearing her, Rudia asserted that this inn is managed by Mercurial Chan alone. That's how they can make Rude Kun deliver it every day. Eventually, Rude Kun's pudding became a specialty of Mercurial's inn, as customers who are looking for pudding come to visit any time. And Croquette is going to help during busy hours. Later, customer excused himself. Then Croquette questioned how she can help him, and the boy requested for Fenrir pudding. Then Rudia stated that since when it has been called by such a name, but that is a sweet name to call their pudding Fenrir. However, peeking outside, Croquette mentioned Rude Kun Lady Femme. They have a customer, and Rudia asked who is it. Then the men quoted that first of all let him introduce himself as Grude, the butler of Sea Whale's royal family. And the princess of their country would like to meet the person who made this Fenrir pudding, so he was looking for them, but was surprised that he didn't really account for Lady Fenrir to be the one involved. Then Rudy requested him to raise his head, as they were not expecting to become so big, and Grude denied, as he did some research on his part as well, because Lady Fenrir, he heard that she was born to the royal family of Walgard. Hearing him, both Rude and Croquette asserted in shock kingdom of Walgard royal family. Eventually, Rudia asserted that she knew this was bound to happen sometime and agreed to the answer of his question, that she's from Rudia Walgard, the third princess of the kingdom of Walgard. So Rude asked if Mother is a princess, then Rudia wondered if she didn't tell him before. Then Rude stated that he's hearing it for the first time. Apparently, Grude mentioned that he'd also heard a rumor about a pure white Fenrir appearing around here. Then Rudia responded that her son Femrud Walgard is a Fenrir even if he looks like this now. Then the butler asserted that he also heard that a venerable person bird had been made and was right on mark. But by all means, because of his selfish princess, he apologized Lady Fenrir's, as the story has been revealed. However, Rude asked if he wants to eat, then Grude responded that it's embarrassing, and Rude said he was going to make it anyway, then requested him to wait a moment while he prepared, and Grude thanked him for that. Later, Grude apologizes for coming from the back instead of the front as he doesn't know what to do. After entering the castle, the king thanks them for coming as his name is Felice, the king of this country. She's his wife Claire and his son Arslet. Further, he introduced them to his daughter Relier, then told her that this in front of her is the former princess of the kingdom of Walgard, so come, and greeted them properly, but she asserted that is the rumored pudding and requested Grude to wake up and prepare a scoop and spoon. Hearing her, Croquette noted Nisama isn't this person quite rude. Then after eating she mentioned that it melted so fluffy and disappears in a matter of second. She likes it and has him become her exclusive cook. Immediately, the king apologized for his idiot girl being so rude to the Walgard family. Then Rudia assured that she's happy to hear that Relier loved their Fenrir pudding so much, and Rude happily voiced Relier and asked how about another refill of pudding. Then Relier quotes that she'll have some. After that, it articulated since that day it has been witnessed that Relier, disguised as a maid, sneaks out and goes to Mercurial's Inn to eat pudding, as Precious loves to eat the Fenrir pudding of Mercurial's Inn, and somehow these rumors spread even more. In the next scene, someone questioned if he had heard that rumor as the one about the king of Elensrud falling sick. Hearing him, Rude halted in his place, contemplating that it's a rumor about his homeland. However, the lady mentioned that it's an unfortunate story, as it's just one thing after another for the royal family. She heard there has been trouble in the streets too, and the man guessed that it's true what they said, as the arrival of twin brothers to the throne bring balance and calamity to the country. Eventually, Relier asserted that rumors about the royal family of Elensrud, as she'd heard them before, but surely they are just being spread by the younger brother that didn't ascend the throne, and it's hard to know if the older brother that did ascend has been ruling unfairly. But Arslet mentioned that he heard that whatever happened was important enough for rumors to spread, even outside the country. Additionally, he also heard that the current king has no children currently. The first in line to succeed the throne is that same younger, and the king's physical state is weak, so people have been talking about whether a new king might be taking the throne soon. However, rude question would be that the younger brother who would become king is the person that is referred to as a fat pig, and forces people to call him beautiful. Then Princess Relier agreed to his highness, as she'd met him once before, and it's true that he did those things. Moreover, Arslet asserted that it's just there's another disquieting story mixed in there, as it's about his son, the second in the order of succession, and his highness Errol's child with his third wife Elizarice. So if he recalls correctly, his name was Prince Elcid, but it's the same. He passed away several years ago. Later at the inn, Rude voiced mother, and she questioned what's wrong. Then he mentioned that his little brother may have been killed. So Rudia asked what is this about. Then Rude explained that the cause of death was him tripping down some stairs, but it must have been the man that wrapped up and tossed him out. Also, he must have something to do with this. Hearing him, Rudia stated that don't say such things based only on speculation. But she can't say for sure that that's not what happened, but it couldn't really just have been an accident. But Rude shouted that either way he is worried about Mama and Kleena. Then Rudia asked him if he'll go even if she tries to stop him, and he agreed while apologizing to her. Just then, Rudia mentioned that she will come with, but before she could complete her words, Rude shouted that she can't, as the people of Elensrud discriminate against the beast folk. So if she were to come near the royal capital, then it might be dangerous. Apparently, Rudia quoted to promise her and requested that he will come back unharmed, and if anything has happened to him, then Rude embraced her and stated not to worry as he is only going to check things out. However, Rudia questioned if he remembered when told him about the time she abandoned her family, and still doesn't know the extent of his powers but just tried to imagine the way he could use his own powers, and if managed then the powers left behind in him by his child might just save him. Afterward in the Cat Kingdom, Henruda asserted while wiping him off that's why he is heading to the capital to be careful, as recently there's been nothing but bad rumors about the capital and things like slave traders taking their captives there. As soon as he reached his hometown, Rude contemplated so this is the capital of the place he was born, and inside the castle, Mama and Kleena. While sleeping, he continued that smell isn't human as there's multiple beast folk smells mixed in. Also, he heard that the western bridge leads to the noble district, but the smell is getting stronger, so he will wait until nightfall and then sneak in. Later at night, he turned himself into a human form and peeked while asserting that the castle is close. But as soon as he heard a thumping voice, Rude hid himself behind the wall and heard that someone quoted the dog got away, so find out where she went. However, he started sniffing and saw a girl. Then he voiced if she could understand him, as he'd come to this place to search for someone and think that he can help her to escape. Also don't care what she does after, but he'll help her out if she tells him what happened to her. Hearing him, the girl responded that she understood and didn't think there'd be anyone here that could speak this language, so if he can really get her out, and then she requested him to help her. While taking off his cloth, Rude quoted that "hold on a second," then chanted Fenrir transformation. Seeing him, the girl asked if he's a Fenrir, but he asserted, "Get on, as they have to get out of here quick." Suddenly a guard shouted what was that light, but seeing the Fenrir and girl, someone noted what in the world is that. Then another guard shouted them to hurry and close the gate. But it's too late. Rude successfully made it. After reaching out, he started panting and instantly collapsed. Then a man shouted quickly to Fenrir's house. Later, after drinking water, Henruda questioned if he was feeling better. Then Rude agreed and thanked her. Then she asked what happened and who's this dog girl. Moreover, Rude apologized as he ran away from the noble district with her. Then the girl introduced herself that she's the former handmaiden of His Highness Erald's third wife, Mistress Elizaris, and her name is Kleena. As soon as he heard her name, Rude noted while crying that he finally found her and questioned if she remembered him. Then she asked if it was the young master, if it was really him. Jumping on her, he agreed, and Kleena quoted that she's glad that he's fine. Just after that, Rude questioned to Kleena what about Mama. Then she deeply apologized to him as she passed away almost half a year ago. In the next scene, after hearing Kleena, Rude noted in shock that his mama is dead, and she stated that it's already been 5 years since Master Elcid, his brother, was beaten by that repulsive pig Erald, because one day without thinking, Master Elcid said, "Papa, why is he having people call him beautiful?" Even though he'd gotten so fat and filled with rage, Erald beat Master Elcid without holding back, and that is when Master fell down the stairs. Further, Kleena prolonged that she rushed over in a panic, but his head was turned in an impossible direction and died instantly. So they said that Master Elcid's death was an accident, and if only she was stronger then could have avenged his death. But she cursed herself for being so weak. Kleena also mentioned that it wasn't long that Mistress Elizaris' mind was deeply traumatized by this event, and she collapsed soon after it happened. So Kleena can't take this as even if it was under Mistress Elizaris' order. She just can't lie to him like this, young master, and apologize to him. But Mistress Elizaris is actually alive. Further, Kleena prolonged that she may not have much longer to live, as the doctor said so, and young master, even if he went to see her, she wouldn't wish for him to look upon her withered form and wouldn't want to make him worry. That's why she told her to lie if she found him, and to say that his mother is already dead. Unexpectedly, he held her hand, and noted Kleena took him to her, but before she could say something, Rude requested her that if it's him, then it might work out somehow. However, standing in front of the capital, Kleena quoted to young master that the story about Master Elcid's death wasn't lying because of it. Mistress Elizaris has been isolating herself in the room that was originally his, and she's fighting her illness there all alone. Moreover, she mentioned that a man didn't want Mistress Elizaris to be seen by anyone, and almost every night she would set out to look for a boy that looked like him. And Rude asked if that's how she got spotted there, but does she had anything with her that Mama might have worn on her. Then Kleena agreed as she has the handkerchief that Elizaris wiped her brows with. While holding it, Rude noted that with this he could find her. But then she requested him to wait, as even at night, the castle's defense is no joke. Eventually, Rude stated that he's one of those, and his mother's Fenrudia's son, Femrud, a Fenrir. Hearing him, Kleena asserted that she shouldn't worry and contemplated that Femrud, she doesn't know how the young master came to have the power of Fenrir, but the way he is right now, she's sure he can. Apparently, he told her to hold on tight as it might get a little rough, while Jumping Rude contemplated that he'd got to be careful as they mustn't hear his footsteps. After reaching in front, he asserted that the smell is coming from here, then asked which room is it, and she quoted that the room furthermost on the right on the 5th floor. But if they go there, then they'll definitely. But not letting to complete her words, he jumped off the cliff and climbed to the exact floor without anyone noticing. As soon as he saw his mother lying on the bed, Rude started crying and voiced Kleena to help him with Mama. In the next scene, the lady introduced herself as Elizaris, and she can't put into words how grateful to Rudia for raising Rude up until now and for getting him such a wonderful name. A while ago, Rude successfully made out without anyone knowing. After reaching, Henruda mentioned that they prepared a room so he can let her rest there. Then he thanked her. Then Rude voiced Kleena as there's a chance he might collapse, but don't worry about it. Then a lady asked what he is planning to do, and Rude mentioned them to get far away from him as they can, because this will be the first time he will try to use the full force of his magic and doesn't know what might happen. After that, he stood in front of his mother enchanted light that rests in all of creation, granted his request, then contemplated that the incantation is just floating into his mind as his brother, Femrude, might be helping him, so lend him his strength, then shouted use it and leave nothing behind if he must. Eventually he collapsed, and holding him Kleena questioned if young master is alright, then Rude agreed as he's just a little tired. Later, Elizarese asserted that he really looks just like Elcid once did, and she wondered if it is because they're twins as he's gotten so big and so cute. She's glad he doesn't look like him, then Kleena agreed as he's nothing like that man. After all, Master Elcid was cute too. Just as Rude woke up, Elise quoted, "Thank God." He finally opened his eyes. Femrude, what a wonderful name. Then holding each other, they both started crying. After that, Rude asserted that he's home and apologized as he took so long, but Elise denied as she's the one who apologized for not being able to protect him back then and for making Kleena lie to him. While entering inside, Henruda apologized for interrupting them as she figured he'd be awake. Hearing his stomach rumble, Kleena mentioned that was to be expected after all young master had been sleeping for 2 days. Then Henruda quotes that she'll bring a portion for Rude too. Moreover, Elise exclaimed that she'd never had anything like this and it doesn't seem like wheat. Then Henruda mentioned that Rude showed it to them when he saved their village, as it's called the food rice. In shock, Elise stated that Femrude was already incredibly smart, even when he was just a baby. Eventually, Kleena asserted that at first, he really seemed like a genius. Then Rude asked her if she were about to call him a monster. After that, Elise gradually got her strength back. While she was recovering in the cat people's village, the three that had been separated for 13 years spent a lot of time catching up. They talked about Elcid and their love of food, about Croquette and Femrudia, Femrude's beloved family. On the other hand, staring outside the window, Croquette noted still nothing. Then Rudia asserted that the letter said he'd arrive around soon. Just then, Rude shouted, "Croquette, mother." After that, Elise introduced herself and noted that she can't put into words how grateful she was to her for raising Rude up until now and for giving him such a wonderful name. Then Rudia stated that she's Rude's mother, Femrudia Walgard, and thanked her for giving birth to such an amazing child. Then Rude voiced mother as there's something he wanted to ask her. Then Rudia stated that she knew and questioned if they would like to live with them. Then Elise asked if it is really fine, and she agreed after all their family. In the next scene, it mentioned that now a month has passed since Elizarese and Kleena joined the family. Rude stated that this is the new product he came up with for Mikariel's Inn, and asked what do they think. Then Croquette asserted that it's delicious, but Elise mentioned that this ice, he called it as she thinks it would be better with some fruit mixed in, and Kleena questioned how about decorating it with candy. Then Elise noted that he could try different variations for the cupcakes and cookies, too, maybe something a little less sweet, and if it's about the budget, leave it to her, after all it's his mama's specialty. Suddenly, a man excused himself and showed them a room. Seeing it, Rudia mentioned that with an ice cellar of this size, he should be able to have a lot of prepared stock. Then Rude thanked him. However, Kleena stated while crying that young Master Rude and Lady Rudia will be leaving soon, so they'll make sure to deliver the young master's sweets properly. Instantly Croquette embraced him, and he quoted that they're just going to the Walgard Kingdom for a little while. Moreover, it mentioned that the Walgard Kingdom, as it's Femrudia's birthplace and the country of the Fenrir, so the plans for Rude and Rudia to visit the Kingdom of Walgard were made on the day Rude brought Elise and Kleena. Eventually, he voiced mother, and Rudia questioned Rude what's wrong, and why is he still awake at this hour. Then Rude responded that there's something that he wants to talk to her about, and the thing is, he wants to go to the Walgard Kingdom, and she asked why. Further, Rude explained that while he was saving Mama and Kleena from the castle, and was sharing his life force with Mama, it felt like Femrude was lending him his strength, so there are things that he has to do, and for that purpose, he needs this power, the power of the Fenrir. That's why he wanted to know more about them. Apparently, Rudia asserted that if he's that determined, then she'll take him to the Walgard Kingdom. However, his standing there is very uncertain, and in the worst-case scenario, it might even lead to a fight, but grandmother might be able to help them, so let's try talking to her. Later, even further north than the Kingdom of Sea Whales, a great distance that takes 2 days to cover, even with the fleet feet of a Fenrir. Afterward, a woman questioned Rude if he was awake. Seeing her, he gets confused. Then he noted that it's her, Femrudia, and he asked mother why does she look like that. But Rudia stated that they've arrived in the Kingdom of Walgard, as this is her mansion. Also, she hasn't been here in a long time, but it seems like it's been kept clean. Further, she prolonged that it just so happens that the magical power in this country runs very deep, so the Fenrir can take this form too. Then Rudia questioned as she surprised him. Then Rude agreed that she did, but mother is so pretty. While ruffling his hair, she happily mentioned that he's so honest, but unexpectedly his stomach rumbled. Hearing the voice, Rudia asked should they get something to eat. Later, someone voiced "Ain't that lady from Rudia?" and asked if she returned home. Then Rudia agreed that she's here to introduce her son to the family. Meanwhile, Rude contemplated that Guy is also a Fenrir, isn't he? Moreover, it articulated that only Fenrir live in this country, as the men have blue fur and the women green fur, but not a single one has white fur like Rude does, and so he grew anxious. He was a human and yet is now the son of a Fenrir, so Rude wondered if Mother's family will accept him. However, Rudia noted that back when Grandmother took the throne, during her inauguration speech she fumbled her words and said Fenrira instead of Fenrir. Further, she prolonged that her face turned beet red and looked really vexed about it. Also, she quickly pulled herself back together and carried on by saying let's make Fenrir a term of respect for female Fenrir, and just didn't want to admit that she'd made a mistake. However, Rudia mentioned that she's very kind and reasonable but hates losing and was always very scary when she got angry, and one time she wiped out an entire town. Hearing her, Rude wondered if she'd accept him. Unexpectedly, Rudia clapped and asserted his custard, as she's sure that Grandmother would have been delighted if he brought some. After reaching, someone voiced from Rudia it's been a long time, and Femrud it's nice to him, as she's Ferris, the queen of the kingdom of Walgard and their great-grandmother. In the next scene, after hearing her, Rude was surprised, but Grandmother noted that everything happened just the way she thought it would. But another woman agreed as it's just like Mama said, and she was always opposed to having her marry one of the Duke's 3 sons just to save face. Seeing them, Rudia requested Grandmother and Mother, let's not. To then it articulated that Rudia's husband had returned to the country by himself as she was going through the toughest time of her life. And when Fenrir confronted them about this, the Duke's family placed him under house arrest, thus glossing over the matter without taking proper measures. However, her mother shouted that his belief on lineage is outdated, and just how much does he think Rudia had to suffer after he ran away from her and came back here, only to play around with another woman. Just then her husband responded that in hindsight it's easy. Instantly, Rudia asked, what does he mean hindsight? And that's just the kind of person he was, as she was happy until that child passed away. And Father dearest, weren't he told the one who said just leave it to him, he will make sure she will be happy? In between the conversation, Rudia glanced at his son. Then Rude asserted that he has brought along some sweets and has made them as a greeting. Seeing it, Rudia's mother questioned if Femrud made these, and her husband quoted, what a gentle sweet smell. As soon as Ferris tasted the sweet, seeing her, Rude questioning his highness, Ferris, does she like it? While holding the cup, she quoted, that's way too formal, just call her grandma, and second she requested him for more. After that, it was articulated that Rudia told her family everything that had happened since she first met Rude. Then her mother stated that they had heard that Rudia adopted a human child, but a child that's possessed by demons. Then Ferris asserted that not to mention as a human that is able to use the power of the Fenrir as expected to her great-grandson, so she decided that he'll be the next king. Immediately, Rudia questioned Grandmother, won't that be bad for their foreign relation? And her father agreed. However, Queen stated that long ago, one of their ancestors possessed the same kind of power that Femrud does, and it is said that it was thanks to the person that their kingdom became what it is now, instead of being just another small settlement. By the way, she questioned if Rudia had just come back home to introduce Femrud to them. Then Rude asserted that he used to have a younger brother, and due to certain circumstances he died, so even by borrowing power from his big brother Femrud, he hasn't been able to find a way to get revenge on his enemies in skill not strong enough. That's why he'd come, Grandma Ferris, and to learn more about the Fenrir. Hearing him, Ferris agreed that she will teach him anything he wants, and questioned first is he would mind turning into a Fenrir for her, and he agreed, but his clothes. Then Ferris gestured with her hands to call him over to her and whispered in his ear. However, Rude asked if that kind of spell exists, and the queen agreed that this is something special she came up with and had never told anyone. Then he spelled that robes changed into darkness Ferris morph, and he immediately turned into his Fenrir form. Moreover, Ferris noted that it's a spell that turns the clothes he was wearing into a collar, and if he breaks it when he's returning to his previous form, then it will turn back into clothes and a snow-white Fenrir, as she doesn't know why his color is different, but there must be a reason because a human and a Fenrir soul melting together, so it's incredibly beautiful. Eventually, Rudia asserted that after all he is her prided son, so she'll leave him in grandmother's care. Then the Queen Ferris stated what she was saying as it's been so long, so she will just put her through some training too, as she had done nothing but eat and sleep. Later, Ferris quoted, "Rudia, squeeze out some more power, just like that now, don't let it go out until it's evening." And Rudia shouted that she's trying as this was tough. Then Ferris mentioned that she was letting her uphold a continuous stream of magic, so she learned to suppress her magic consumption, so if Rudia lose focus for even a second then the magic will run rampant, so be careful. Also, it's already been a month, so she should be able to keep it up for at least half a day. Then she voiced Rude's attempts to pull magic from the air around him while focusing on his hand, feet, face, chest, and lower back. While closing his eyes, Rude contemplated that we can't see anything but denied that it, no matter what he focused on, was surrounded by white. Then he voiced Grandma Ferris, there's a colored mass behind his eyes. However, she asked other than that, if all he's seeing is the color of his own fur, then he agreed, but other than the black and the colored space, there's also two kinds of white. Like he said, there's black and white. Hearing him, Ferris quoted that she'd never heard of anything like that and questioned Rude if he could try focusing his magic in the black part, then told him not to panic and open his eyes slowly. As soon as he opened his eyes, Rude questioned who's this child right in front of him, and Ferris asserted that there's no one there. But then she mentioned that this child, it seems her name is Felisil. In the next scene, it articulated that this Troy from over 1,000 years ago, a girl voiced Mama and questioned, isn't it pretty? As she wanted to give it to her and little sister. Then Fenrir quoted that they still spent no whether it's a boy or a girl. Then the girl stated that it's a little sister because she wanted. Then Ferris mentioned it's a beautiful flower and thanked Felisil but told her not to go out too far. Further, it articulated that in a certain kingdom, it was speculated that the blood of the beast folk may be a miracle elixir for perpetual youth and longevity, especially the blood of the Fenrir. It was traded among the royal family and nobility there at very high prices. Later, Felisil voiced Mama. Then the man quoted that her mama is going to be okay, so she should go to sleep. Felisil, standing outside the room, Felisil thought that she'd got it and instantly walked outside the house, but unfortunately someone grabbed her from behind. Eventually, the man shouted to Felisil and Ferris questioned Fengard, what's going on? Then he thought Felisil went outside, so he's going out to look for her. Just wait here. Then it was articulated that Ferris waited for the two and desperately prayed for their safe return. Yet even as dawn broke on the third day, they had not returned, so Ferris went after them. And when she did, Ferris lost both her husband and her daughter and was devastated. Caught up in her anger, the country that had taken the life of her beloved was ruined in an instant. In the present, Rude quotes that Felisil says that she wanted to thank Grandma, and when she came to the place and was in a dark, smelled weird, she doesn't really remember anything else, but was always at her side, so she was never lonely. Then Ferris asserted that Felisil is over here, and Rudia questioned Grandmother what's wrong. Moreover, she responded that her mother Felicia's younger sister, who passed away from her death, was the cause of that incident, but why does Femrude know her name? Just then Rude saw Felisil, shouted, Dad, get over here too. Don't be shy. Then Fengard stated that he's Ferris and his great-grandson, so it's nice to meet him, but wondered if he can be a good great-grandfather to him, as Fengard may be a manly name, but he really failed to live up to it. Then Rude quoted that it's nice to meet him too, Fengard. However, Ferris shouted, darling, he was there, and Rude agreed as they're both with Grandma. Hearing him, Ferris started crying and apologized to them as she's the only one left. Then Rude repeated Fengard's words, that don't apologize, as if she hadn't been here. Then Felicia and Femrudia wouldn't be either, and neither would Femrude. Apparently, Ferris questioned if that was good as she lived on. Then Fengard responded that it seems like Femrudia had another child that's gone over there too, as they should head there too. So he doesn't have to be lonely, and both daughter and husband expressed their love to her. However, Fengard mentioned that he'll go where she is too one day and apologized, thought, but it's not time yet. Then Rude apologized that he can't see them anymore, and Ferris thanked him because at the very end she was able to see them too, and Ferris had never told Femrudia or Felicia. Further, she prolonged that by letting her meet those two again and relaying their messages, that must be his power as the meaning of the black inside of him. After that, it was articulated that Rude and Rudia spent another 2 months improving their powers under Ferris' guidance, but unlike Rude, who had been casting magic by deliberately using chance as the base, and Fenrir would usually access their power by intuitively using magic that matches their own color, as he was slowly coming to understand how to do this. Eventually, Ferris mentioned that Rude really is a strange one. Usually they had only one color each. For example, her is red, Ferrudia's color is a light yellow, Felicia's is sky blue, so the white inside him might be his brother's color. Further, Ferris stated that she'd heard of another person, thousands of years ago, whose color was also white, but even so there wasn't even any black, so she believes that black is the color that he, as a human, have had from the very beginning. Then Rude quotes that it's weird for him to had two colors, and Ferris denied as the reason he were able to meet his brother is because of the power that he already held, same as with her husband and daughter, but he questioned what's the with power. Then Ferris noted that she know a power that is close to white at least, and that's Felicia's. However, Felicia agreed as her power is to save people and to purify, so give her his hand. While holding his hand, she chanted that healing power that rests within him. She asked Lee to take her life force and requested to share with this person to heal him. Seeing his hand, Rude gets amazed and mentioned that his wounds and scars are all gone. Then Ferris asserted that Felicia's sky blue magic has a very strong recovery power, but she doesn't know anything white magic. But if the black rests behind his right eye, then the white most likely rests behind his left. Eventually, she prolonged that it's his brother's power, so he should seek it out himself, as this isn't something he can just be taught. However, it was articulated that the special training in the Walgard kingdom came to an end, and the two returned home. Seeing her, three of them questioning Mistress Ferrudia, is that really her? Then Rudy responded that she'd learned to keep this form, even in a country like this, where the magic in the air is weak. So once again, nice to meet them, and Croquette stated that they must be exhausted, then requested them to get some sustenance. Seeing the food, Rude questioned if they three did make this, and Kleena agreed, as well as Mistress Elise did most of the work. Then Elise quoted that Croquette and Kleena were busy helping to make custard and delivering it to the store since morning, so she wanted to help out a little by making this. Apparently, Rudia thought that she were a noble, and yet Elise is this good at cooking. Then Elise noted that she's not a noble, and from a merchant family that did business with the royal family in town. She had quite the reputation as the pretty poster girl for the store. Hearing this, Croquette mentioned that she is sure that Ellis very cute, but Elise has asserted that's also what got her noticed by that man, Errol. While they did had some ties to the royal family, their lifestyle wasn't exactly luxurious, and for the sake of the family, she endured and marries Errol. Suddenly, Elise gasped and mentioned that she shouldn't be saying this in front of their child, and every day she spent with Errol was agony, but when the two of them were born, she was incredibly happy. As soon as she saw Kleena crying, Elise apologized about that and quoted, "Let's eat." Then Kleena asserted that there is something she heard in town earlier today, as it seems that Mistress Elise's disappearance from the castle has caused quite an uproar. Hearing this, Elise stated as expected, as she hoped her father and mother are all right. Then Rude asserted that he can go check up on them, but she quoted that he just got home. Rude assured her that he is fine and worried about them too. Moreover, she thanked him and mentioned that when he found them, tell him to look for a cloth called the fox's paint, as her family has a secret, because her grandmother, in other words his great-grandmother, is a fox. The kingdom of Ellensrode. An old man quoted a new face and asked if they came here to stock up. Then Rude denied that they're looking for a cloth named the fox's paint. Hearing them, an old man asked Ellen Rose if she could put on some tea, then requested them to come in. "Let's talk inside," and Rudy apologized to him for intruding on him like this, as they'll take him up on his invitation. After that, an old man introduced himself as Alfel, and he owned the company. "This is my wife, Ellen Rose." Then Rude mentioned that he's Elizarius' son, as his name is Femrude. Then Rudia noted that she's from Rudia and raised him as her child. Alfel quoted that he does resemble Elise from when she was still a child, and since he knew about the fox paint too, and never told him that she had another child beside Elcid, but he really seems to be Elise's son. However, Rude explained that his father abandoned him in the woods, so he grew up separated from his mother, and now they lived together in Sea Wales. Then Alfel quoted that just a couple of days ago, a messenger came from Lord Errold to inform them that Ellis had died, and that because of this, they would cancel relations with their company. But Elise was meant to be in the castle. How come she's staying in Sea Wales? Happily, Rude mentioned that he freed her from that castle, and to tell the truth, his full name is Fenrude Walgard. Then Ella Rose mentioned that's the name of the Fenrir Kingdom's royal family. Afterward, Rudia asserted that she's the third princess of Walgard, and that makes her son a crown prince. Hearing this, Alfel questioned that even his foster parents, can she really introduce a human to the royal family of Walgard? Then Ella Rose noted that he doesn't smell like a human, and Rudia stated, "Rude, show them." After that, Rude transformed himself into Fenrir and exclaimed that he's a human but can use the power of the Fenrir, and with the help of the power, he was able to save Mama from her house arrest. Then Rudia asked Ellen Rose if she's half fox, so she accepted and assumed that Elise told her. Instantly, Alfel shouted, Rude doesn't have as much beast folk in him as Ellen Rose, and yet he can still fully transform into a Fenrir, then questioned if it's because of Lord Errol's side of the family. Hearing his grandfather, Rude immediately refused that it's a bit more complicated and mentioned that he'd like them to hear the rest from Mama, so Grandpa and Grandma, he wants them to come with him to see whales. Moreover, Alfel noted that they had no more attachment to Ellengerald, so that's fine, as he's more concerned if Elise will forgive them for marrying her off to that man. Then Rude stating that Mama is really worried about them, that's why they rushed over here to meet them. Then both Alfel and Ella noted that they'll leave right away, and she wants to see her and apologized as soon as possible. Eventually, Rudia questioned Rude if he noticed something, and he agreed as there's a horse-drawn carriage nearby. Then she asked if there a problem with that, and he noted that it seems like they're being followed by an envoy from Ellengerald, so she stated that they really were keeping an eye on them. However, Rude questioned if it was okay if he took care of it, and Rudia asked what he was planning to do. Then Rude responded that he'd been wanting to try out his brother's power. Then Rude contemplated that behind his left eye if he focused on that white color and questioned a man if he needed something from them, but he denied that they're taking a short break and asked if that was a problem. Apparently, Rude questioned if he could say the same while looking into his eyes, so get off that carriage and kneel before him. On the other hand, Ella Rose asked what's going on, but the men did what Rude told them to, and he told another man that he can't defy him. So Rude again asserted that he's going to ask them one more time, did they need something from them? And if they didn't feel like talking, then it's fine as long as they didn't mind staying like this for the rest of their life. Also, he doesn't mind either way. However, it articulated that Rude used realm domination as he obtained his skill during his training in Dalgard, and it's his brother's power, so commands like go fur are impossible, but he can make people obey simple instructions. Either a command like stay for the rest of their life will usually not work, but the fact that they can't move coupled with those words is enough to incite the scare. Afterward, the man requested him and asked if they tell him the truth. Will he stop as they were ordered by the royal family of Ellengerald to tell Elisrius's parents? Then another man shouted that he just can't blabber about an imperial command like that. Then the man questioned if he was scared too, so how he can still say that after his experience this difference in power, and it's not like he ever swore his loyalty to those people, so why do they have to do spy work for them in the first place? However, Rude asked how they all felt about beast folk, like dog folk and such. Then, confusingly, that man responded that he thought it's wrong to not treat them like a people just because their language and race are different, and another man agreed. Hearing them, Rude questioned if that's how they feel, then he has a proposal for them. Moreover, it articulated that Miles, Ricardo, and Simons, Rude asked these three if they and their families could come with them, and with the sale of the Fenrir pudding and the gem Rudia picked up in a mine, so he was going to be busy with his own daily life for a while, so the reason he was invited them was to make them bodyguard. Suddenly, Ricardo shouted if Rude was serious as he trained as a knight in the Imperial City, but got sick of serving this country, so he'll ask his family about it, and Simons agreed. However, Rude suddenly collapsed and contemplated that he again used his power too much, and it articulated that they promised to meet again and see whales. Eventually, Alfel and Ella embraced Elise and apologized to her, then Elise mentioned that she'd missed them. Unexpectedly, Kleena excused herself and questioned Rude if he want to come as she had prepared the thing he asked her. Then he thanked her and asked if she has enough of that stuff. Apparently, Rude voiced Mama, Grandpa, and Grandma. He wants to show them something. Seeing it, he asked what do they think as it's a new store for them. Then Alfel mentioned that he didn't have to go that far, and Rude responded don't worry about it as he did this because he wanted to. Elise thanked Rude, then Alfel quoted let's open up a new store here, and thus it articulated that in the corner lot, 2 streets away from Mercurial's store, and the Elise trading house was opened. In the next scene, after tasting the food, the man asserted that this is delish, and Elise stated that it's called rice as it's a grain that is only produced in the Beastfolk village, and it's just as nutritious as wheat, and depending on the way he prepares it, and can eat it in all sorts of ways. But what's more, as in this year's harvest was so plentiful that they can't even store it all. Then he asked if she wants to start selling it, and she agreed as they've reached an agreement with Henruda of the Beastfolk, and to exchange their rice for daily necessities and their marine products. transporting all sorts of goods, so could he lend them some guards for carriage as well to help with the manual labor, so let's start trading. Later, the sea whale princess voiced Rude it was delightful as usual and piqued his cheek as a thanks. After that, he noted to Croquette that she is so troublesome, and Croquette agreed. Then he mentioned if she's free after this and questioned if she wants to head to the market together. But Croquette excused herself as she got something where she needs to be and ran away from there. Later, sitting alone, Croquette asserted that it's not good as she had to distract herself somehow or will keep thinking about that. Suddenly she saw that someone was singing. Seeing it, Croquette, and contemplating that after Master Rude saved her, she left the village and now far from home. In the next scene, Croquette contemplated that the stone staircase that makes her feel like she will trip and fall, the bakery with the amazing sandwiches, the house with the bright reed roof that helped her find her way when she was lost, and the small bridge, all of these are parts of the path she walks with the Master Rude. Further, Croquette prolonged that all of her precious memories shared with him, but she's not a princess and had no special powers to support him with, and to him she's his big sis. However, Rude mentioned that glad that he's finally found her, and she thought that he was going to the market. Then Rude quoted that the shopping can wait until tomorrow, so more importantly, Rude questioned if he did something to upset her. Moreover, she responded that it's not his fault as it really isn't, but it also might be his fault in a way, and she doesn't really get it herself, as the truth is that this is the first time she'd ever felt jealous. Further, she prolonged getting hugged by the princess and even kissed, but yet he just said troublesome things and didn't really mind that much. Hearing her words, Rude apologized that he seemed to have caused a misunderstanding, but Miss Relier is one of his customers, as she might be a pretty young lady, but to him, she's only a customer that regularly comes to eat his Fenrir custard. Then Croquette mentioned that she didn't get what he's saying, and Rude exclaimed that making sweets and having people eat them is his job. Since it's a job, he doesn't really get embarrassing or anything like that, but questioned if she's still part of his family, even when they're outside, and she accepted. Unexpectedly, Rude embraced her tightly and noted that right now he's super embarrassed and can tell her things like that honestly because they're family, and also he was able to find her by following her scent. That's when he noticed that this path the two of them always take together. Further, he continued that it made him happy and felt like she really treasured him and their time together, and yet he made her worry and then apologized to her. The next day, Princess Relier again mentioned that as always it was fantastic. While stepping forward, Croquette thanked her for her continued patronage and support of Master Rude's Fenrir custard. Later, Croquette voiced the Master Rude his lunch as they got a lot of rice delivered, so she made him a huge rice ball, and he hesitantly responded that he can't wait to try it. Eventually, after reaching his destiny, Rude quoted that this place should be fine. Then he closed his eyes and contemplated that something is closing in on him, and it's a big snake. It attacked him, but he stopped him by his spell. After that, he started eating his huge rice ball and thought that he still can't control the power all that well. Suddenly, someone voiced what he is doing in a place like this. Then Rude responded that he's just taking a short break and promised he's not doing anything suspicious. Then the man denied, as he's pretty sure just hanging out in a forest this dangerous is already plenty suspicious. Hearing him, Rude responded that he came here from sea whales for some training. Then the man stated that if he's gonna rest here, he might as well come to their settlement, and Rude asked if he wouldn't be a nuisance. Then he mentioned that children shouldn't worry about that, and Rude agreed that he'll come with him. In the next scene, someone quoted that it's nothing so special and requested him to eat up. Then Rude thanked her. Instantly, a little boy mentioned that it's sweet and tasty. Then the men quoted him to not hold back. As soon as he tasted it, Rude contemplated that it was sweet and warm, soft, and really delicious. Seeing him eating rapidly, the lady asserted that it looks like he's enjoying it,